Hey, welcome to Little Hill Homestead. I'm Allie. Today we are going to be making something a little bit different. We're going to be making a panettone. And what a panettone is an Italian cake, kind of a Christmas theme, but it uses sourdough. So it's like a sourdough bread slash cake. Seemed fitting. I've never made it before. I went online and found a bunch of different recipes, combined them, and made what I think is going to be a pretty good version of a panettone, but we'll see. Anyways, there's a couple things that we need to do before we start mixing our dough together. So I decided for the fruits in mind, there's a couple different options, but I have a half of a cup of dried fruit. I did a 1/4 cup of dried cherries and a 1/4 cup of golden raisins. That's just what I had. You can do currants, you can do just regular raisins, you can dry blueberries, but it needs to be some kind of dried fruit for this part. You wanna put 3 tablespoons of warm water over the top of that, and that's gonna try to like soften those up a little bit before we need them for a recipe. And it's just a little bit of water. It really isn't gonna do much, so we're just gonna give it a little stir, try to get that water moved around a little bit. So that's that. We're gonna set that to the side. The next thing that we have is we have a concoction. It's half a cup of warm water. To that we added 1 tablespoon of just regular yeast. We do use our sourdough starter, but on this one you're also gonna use some commercial yeast. So it's got 1 tablespoon of yeast, and it has how much sugar did we use? 1/3 cup of sugar. We combine that all into 1 container. As you can see, I did it a few minutes ago, so our yeast is already starting to get bubbly. It's gonna feed off that sugar and make what we need to get this recipe going. So, for this recipe, we need some active sourdough starter. So this is 190 grams of sourdough starter. Let me measure that out. This is gonna be a disaster. Let me go grab a measuring cup and I'll measure it out for you. Okay, I suggest using a scale all the time, but I know not everybody has a scale. So we're gonna see how much this actually ends up being. Let's see, what do we end up with? About 3/4 of a cup is what we ended up with if you're gonna go with a measurement. So we have 3/4 of a cup of active bubbly starter. I fed this last night, so when I got ready for the day today, it had not collapsed or anything yet. It was nice into the top of the jar. If you need sourdough starter, we do sell it in our Etsy shop. I think it's like $5. If you use the coupon code YouTube, it gives you 20% off. And then you can also make your own. It's really easy. It's just flour and water and a lot of patience. But our sourdough's Vinny. He's been going for quite a few years now. So that is our sourdough starter. That's step 1. Step 2, 8 egg yolks. So I need a recipe now that uses egg whites because this is an awful lot of egg yolks. Hopefully this turns out. So there's our 8 egg yolks. And of course I'm in here doing something, and my kid has decided right now is the ideal time to make lunch. But it is his lunch break, so he works from home. We have 1 stick of softened butter. Okay, it's a working home. That's what this is all about, right? We have a teaspoon of salt going in. And then we have our concoction of our sugar, yeast, and warm water. I'm gonna give that a little stir to get the sugar released from the bottom. Okay, all that goes in the pot. I'm gonna give this a little whirl. So this dough, from everything that I read, is gonna be a very sticky, wet dough. Okay, to that, we are gonna add 3 cups. This is just all purpose. I use unbleached flour. I just prefer that. I think it's a little weird to have bleach or peroxide or whatever they use on your flour. So we use on bleach in our house. Eventually I do want to save up for a grain mill, but financially it just hasn't been in the cards for us yet. Plus you kind of have to rework all your recipes, and I kind of know what I'm doing at this point for the most part. So it makes me a little nervous, but really, you guys, I'm making such a disastrous mess. My gosh. Okay, next time maybe we'll just do a little flour at a time and not decorate the whole house with flour. All right. So you're mixing that just till it is all incorporated. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape down the sides. I'm also gonna pause this and go clean up the flour mess that I have made because it's literally all over me. So I'm gonna pause it, I'll be right back and we'll do the next step. Okay, we're back. I cleaned up my disastrous mess that I made, but it's just part of it. Okay, our dough is super duper sticky. You're gonna add the zest of 1 lemon and the zest of 1 orange to your dough. So this is definitely this is why it's a fruit cake. It has lots of different mix-ins. We're also gonna add 3 tablespoons of honey. We have a local company that we buy honey from, but that's just because that's what we like. Get whatever you've got. Seriously. Usually I spray this with a little cooking oil so it goes a little faster, but all good. Then we need to add some vanilla extract. This is our homemade vanilla extract you guys see me use often. It needs 2 teaspoons of that in there. I do a little extra because like I've said before, this is a little weak. I was disappointed. So the one we're making this year is gonna be a little bit different, but okay. So we're gonna mix that in just on low. So it's all incorporated. Okay, now I did end up adding a little bit more water to our raisin mixture because it wasn't covering it. So now I'm gonna strain that liquid back off. So this is our raisins and cherries. It's ½ a cup total of those. And then we have, where did I put the jar? I put it away. We got an abundance of lemons a couple of years ago, so we made candied lemons. It's literally just lemon peel that we boiled with sugar, and then we took it out and put it on a cooling rack. You can also buy a candied orange peel, and that's what the recipe calls for. We're gonna use lemon because it's what I've got. So I have ½ a cup of that. I've chopped it up into little pieces. That's going in. Give that a little whirl. And then the last thing that I'm gonna add, just because I thought it would be tasty, is ¼ cup of sliced almonds. We get sliced almonds at Sprouts. We buy them in bulk and I just store them in a jar. I always wait till they're on sale and then fill my jar back up. So I got those going in. Okay. So I'm gonna turn it off for now and explain to you. This needs to mix for 10 to 15 minutes. This is kind of a sticky dough, and to get it to really kind of activate, you've gotta mix it for that long. I don't wanna make you sit here and wait with me, so I'm gonna clean up dishes, which there was quite a few, I won't lie, there was a lot. I'm gonna let this kind of do its thing for 15 minutes, and then I will be back. It has been 15 minutes. I did forget to mention, but I switched it to my dough hook right after I turned the video off. But this dough is like super duper sticky. So that's what it says it's supposed to do though. So we're just gonna trust the process, right? So it's been 15 minutes. Like I said, I hooked it to, I did it with a dough hook. I did end up adding 2 tablespoons of flour because it was way wetter and it was just like a blob. So I did add 2 tablespoons of flour and get that mixed in, and that definitely helped it thicken up a little bit more. Oh my gosh. I have the other style of mixer. I've had this one for 20 something years, 27 years or something like that. And I love the motor on this one is better than my one from like 2 years ago. Unfortunately, this one I didn't love the color, so I spray painted it. So we're gonna take our dough, and this is just a greased, let's get it back so you can see it. This is just a greased Pyrex. It's the largest size Pyrex that I've got. And we're just gonna put this in there. So this is where the fun starts. This, like a traditional sourdough, you're gonna do stretch and folds. And I will show you what that is when we get to it, but our dough has to rest for 30 minutes before we do our first stretch and fold. So I've got all of our dough, I'm using my hands, in here. And it says, just like standard sourdough, it will change texture as we go through the stretch and fold process. So I'm gonna put saran wrap over this, set a timer for 30 minutes, and we'll be back. To the first stretch and fold. I popped mine into the microwave with the light turned on to make it like a proofing box to get it a little warmed up. So far, it's just kind of a globby dough. Stretch and fold for this type, because it is such a wet dough, you're basically gonna put your hands underneath the bottom of it, lift up. The whole point is you're just trying to get air throughout the dough. So we're gonna go to the bottom and pull up. Kind of give it a shake, and then you wanna fold it on itself. And then, oh, I'm supposed to grease my hands. You're supposed to grease your hands, which we didn't do, so it's fine. Pick it up, same thing, and then fold it on itself. Give it a turn, pick it up, give it a shake, fold it on itself. This would be much easier if I had listened to my own words and greased my hands. But you want to do this for about a minute. You're trying to do, basically you do a quarter turn each time. And this is just to aerate our dough, get everybody moving in there. And it changes the texture of the dough. As you do this, the dough is gonna change over the 3 stretch and folds that we do into a completely different texture than what we currently have. So this is our first stretch and fold. I'll probably skip the video for the second stretch and fold just because otherwise they end up just being like 30 minutes long, and it's hard to watch somebody for 30 minutes. I mean, I know I'm awesome, but all right, so it's been about a minute. Our dough is stuck to my hands pretty good. It's definitely forming into a nice kind of texture. I'm gonna put the saran wrap back over it, put it back in the microwave with the proofing box for another 30 minutes, and then we'll check in. Okay, we're on to our final stretch and fold. I did one without you guys. Pretty much looked the same as all the other times that I did it. So the key to panettone is when you cook it, it gets really tall and skinny. And they sell like a special, it almost looks like a cupcake paper, but it's thicker. It's made, it almost looks cardboardy to be honest, but you're supposed to cook it in that. And it's like 7 inches tall and 5 inches wide, and it kind of tapers out. But I didn't have one, and I don't like to have to buy stuff for one-time use like that. They weren't super cheap or anything, so I decided to go scour my kitchen and see what I had that I thought would work. The biggest thing is this is gonna rise pretty significantly, so you gotta have a bumper at the top, enough for it to kind of do its thing. I decided to use the insert of a round crock pot. I pulled out a rice cooker insert as well, and that would have worked too. But I'm gonna use this because it's oven safe, it can handle the temperatures, and it's the shape that I'm looking for. And it's free. I have, this is just some avocado oil that I'm gonna generously use on here so it does not stick. So our last stretch and fold, we're gonna complete, and then when we pull it out of the bowl to do the last fold, we're gonna fold it into the new container. That's where it's gonna rise and what it's gonna bake in. This dough, like I said, is really wet, so I'm gonna change the style of stretch and fold for our final one. Instead of reaching under, I'm gonna reach in from the side and fold it on top of itself. So let me oil my hands on this one. Let's see if you can see. So I'm gonna scoop in from the side. This is so wet, and lift up and fold it on itself. Quarter turn, do the same thing. And this is just getting air into your dough. It's gonna give us that nice fluffy thing we're going for. Now my sourdough, when I do it, tends to be a lot drier than some people. Some people's, this is the consistency they're used to. I am not, but that's just a personal choice. My sourdough still turns out just as good as anybody else's, I think. But to me, I just like, it's easier for me to work with. Like I can't imagine trying to cut a shape into the top of this to make it pretty. This one doesn't do that, so it's okay. Okay, like I said, our final stretch and fold, we're gonna try to lift it into this new one. Let it fall and fold it on top of itself. All right. So we're gonna let it rise in the crock pot insert for 2 to 3 hours, and then we're gonna put it in the oven. You can also let it do like a bulk ferment in the fridge like you would with a standard sourdough and bake it in the morning. I am not 100% sure what I'm gonna do yet. Like I said, we have kind of a wild day going on. I have to drive up into the city to pick my son up from the airport. So it kind of just depends on what all I can get accomplished. But for now, this is our panettone. It's in its dish, and we're just gonna wait for it to rise. Hey guys, it's been like 4 hours, and I just pulled our baked bread, what is it called? Panettone, out of the proofing box, the microwave with the light on. And it has risen just a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and get it baking. So this is gonna go at 350 degrees for 50 minutes. And it says that you wanna put a pat of butter and sprinkle the top with sugar. It said to mark an X on it. I don't think I can because like I said, it's really sticky dough. So I'm not even gonna mess with that. We're just gonna kinda take a little bit of sugar. I think this is just supposed to like help brown it up. This is a teaspoon. I'm not even gonna use the whole thing. And then the pat of butter sticks right on top. There we go. This is, like I said, it's gonna go into the oven for 50 minutes. Our oven sometimes cooks a little bit fast, but it's 350 degrees for 50 minutes, and then I'll check back in with you guys once we get it done. And I'm sure hoping my crock can make it with that high of a heat, but we're about to find out. All right, here she goes. Oh no. So we store cooking oil in here just because it's the easiest place. Like normal humans, we don't want it out where you can see it. I'm horrible at remembering to take it out before I preheat the oven. All good. I'd rather not have it, but okay. In goes our bread. Kitchen timer is set. We'll see you in 50 minutes. Hey guys, I just pulled it out of the oven. It is looking, I mean, come on, that's beautiful. It did take 30 minutes extra than what I thought. I knew it was a very sticky dough, but it ended up cooking for 1 hour and 20 minutes. I checked it every 15 minutes, and I ended up using, and I don't know if it was because of the crock that I used versus using the paper liner that you're supposed to. I ended up using like a shish kebab skewer to test it because the toothpick wasn't even making a dent in the top of it. But you're supposed to hang it upside down so that it doesn't deflate. But I didn't think that through when I put it in a crock that you can't, I might be able to put it upside down, but I think it'll fall. But let's try it. I mean, what's the worst that'll happen? It'll fall. So it keeps it from deflating. We'll see if this works or if it just tips right out. Well, what do you know? It worked. All right. Problem solved. You let it cool upside down. That keeps it from sinking in. And then in like, I don't know, it says like 2 hours. In like 2 hours, we will flip it back over. I think it's probably gonna have released from the pot by then. That's my hope because we sprayed the heck out of this thing. But typically, if you have like a paper one, you put some shish kebab skewers in it and hang jars on the sides and make like this whole contraption. But this is what we're working with. So when we come back, hopefully it will have released and we can cut it and I can show you guys. But I will tell you, I was eating raw dough off my hands. I'll admit it. It was really good. It has like a lemony, citrusy flavor for sure. But it has like a, I don't know, like a lemon pound cake type of feel. I don't know. We'll see once we cut it and eat it, but it sure looks pretty good. So we'll be back in a little bit.
Welcome to Little Hill Homestead. This
Hey
is
guys.
my wife, Allie. She's very beautiful. And I have begged her to make me a fruitcake this year because I've only had one ever for Christmas. And I'm very excited. This is called a
Panettone.
So it's a style of fruitcake from Italy. And we're very excited to try it for you guys.
So it came out of the oven. The crock worked pretty well. It got a little bit dark on the bottom, so we just cut it off. It had a little bit of a hard time coming out of there, so I can see why people use the paper, but this was free. That's what we're going for. So we're gonna cut it and give it a try and see what we think of it. You're supposed to cut it in triangles like a cake.
It looks like it's cutting beautiful, isn't it?
Okay, so you can see the like fruit pieces in it and stuff. Does it smell?
It does, very like a lot like right in it. It feels like it's, oh yeah, so very moist. Yeah.
All right, let's give it a whirl.
Okay.
Oh, you took the one I was gonna take.
No, I win.
It's like a bread cake.
It's like a bread cake. I would say that the one other time I had fruit cake, I wouldn't say this is quite as traditional.
This is not.
But it is pretty darn amazing. So.
It definitely is
Oh, yeah.
fluffier than a cake. You can get a little bit of sourdough in it. It's not overly sweet. Like the batter itself is not overly sweet, but the little pieces of fruit and stuff definitely.
The almonds in it too, just.
Oh yeah, I forgot. The almonds. Definitely lemony. Like a slight lemony.
And overall citrus vibe for sure, yeah.
I dig
The
it.
crust on the outside edge really kind of makes it just a little bit like, gives you kind of a crunch that.
You stole the edge, I will never know.
It's
It's definitely got some airy
There's a lot of
bubbles.
edge left over here.
Oh, I was going to do apricots in it and I forgot. That's okay, we don't need all that in our lives. I don't like it.
It's pretty darn good.
I would say it's definitely more like a breakfast bread than a like dessert cake.
I would agree.
Okay. Well,
I like it either way.
we like it.
Pretty good. And before we go, I'm taking this piece off the top because
What is it?
there's a dried cherry that's just, I can't resist, so. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you guys. I'm trying to get Sean here in a few more videos. Give us a thumbs up if you want him to show you the best Christmas cookies ever. He doesn't want to share the recipe, but I'm trying to convince him that an oatmeal peanut butter chocolate
We're going to need a lot of thumbs up
we
because
need some thumbs up to get him to share it. But give us a thumbs up.
I am reluctant.
And he's a fantastic cook, and he's going to actually do the recipe for you guys. So give us a thumbs up if you want to see that, and I'm going to twist his arm and get him to do it. Thanks for watching.
Thank you guys for watching.